It's Sunday, Candid Land. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of Candid Conversations with Miss Crystal podcast, where we're transforming through transparency. Thank you so much for spending some of your Sunday with us. And if you're not watching me on the Sunday, thanks so much for checking out the playback. Hey, it is raining outside and it's Sunday, so I hope you had a good Sunday nap. It was Women's Day today at our church, and so I sang in the Women's Day choir after promising to do so for years. I made a post the other day on social media saying that this is going to be my season of yes. And if you haven't read the book by Shonda Rhimes, she wrote a book called The Year of Yes, and how she just decided to do a year and say yes to a lot of different things that she says that she wouldn't do before, and it literally changed her life. And so I am in my season of yes, and I've been saying a yes to some things, and I tell you, it's truly been a blessing. But it was Purple and Pearls there at St. Stephen Church for Women's Day. And so I'm still flying high off of this powerful feminine energy. And I want to say to you, it's still Women's History Month, right? Happy Women's History Month. All right. Well, today I have got a dynamic duo with you that is sure to inspire you. So listen, real quick before we get to that, I've got to give you guys an update. Last week's guest, everyone that tuned in last week to hear the story about Kevin Cardwell Jr., and he was the father that's in the custody dispute with his ex-wife, in the video that he posted to that website, Louisville Hood News, and it went viral. Well, he joined us last week, and good news, he reached out to me the day after our interview, and he says that the court has appointed a CASA to their case. And basically, a CASA works as a court-appointed special advocate for the children. And so good momentum is moving in that direction, and we're still continuing to keeping him and his boys lifted up in prayer. All right. This week's guest, I tell you, I've had an opportunity to be blessed by their amazing talents. But behind every glory story, there's a testimony. And so check out this week's special guest.
This week on Candid Conversations with Miss Crystal, from closed doors to splendid breakthroughs. What do you do when the world shuts down? Your job is gone and uncertainty surrounds your dreams. Well, you pivot. You fight, you thrive. This week, I'm sitting down with two of the fiercest forces in the city's event scene, Pamela and Lauren Broadus, the dynamic mother-daughter duo behind Splendid Events, LLC. They helped me navigate a pandemic wedding with grace and grit, but their story runs so much deeper. This dynamic duo is celebrating a milestone birthday, and I can't wait to help share their story. Miss Pamela started the business after losing her job, and yet through the faith, hustle, and divine timing, Splendid Events has become this city's premier event destination. This episode is for anyone who's ever wondered, what now? For the dreamers stuck at a dead end. For the fighters who feel like they've run out of fight. For the believers who just need a reminder that if God closes one door, He's already cracking open a window. This one's not just a conversation, it's a comeback story. Join us Sunday at 6 p.m. Candid Land. You don't want to miss this.
All right, you've heard it. Now here, let's welcome them to the stage. Everybody show some love for Miss Pamela Fulton Broadus and her beautiful daughter and business partner, Miss Lauren. Welcome, ladies. Hey, Lauren, take yourself off of mute. Lauren's off. There we go. Welcome, ladies. How does it, we had an opportunity to talk a little bit off air, but how does it feel to hear your story or see your story unfold like that?
Wow. I mean, sometimes I think we forget.
Yeah.
Like what we've been through. And this was just, watching it, I almost wanted to cry. Like, we made it 15 years.
Yes. And so let's talk about it. Splendid Events, LLC. You all celebrate a milestone coming up on Tuesday, right, Lauren?
Yes, we are celebrating 15 years in business. That will be, yes, like you said, this Tuesday. It has been a roller coaster, but it's been a joyous roller coaster that we have endured, and we've built so much. And so we're just super excited.
Well, I tell you, I look afar and I just love the mother-daughter dynamic. What's it like working with mom, Lauren?
Oh, I love it. A lot of people are like, why, how is it working with your mom or whatever? I'm like, it's cool. I mean, do we get into it sometimes? Yeah, we do. But it's very few and far between because we actually listen to each other. I take her wisdom from what she gained as a somebody that worked in corporate America that knew the business and structured side, and I really listen to her advice. She listens to my advice as a millennial on the operating part of our business,
Mhm.
and so we really complement each other very well and balance each other. So it's been great.
Wow. So getting ready to celebrate 15 years. I'm going to show you guys this picture right here. Do y'all remember this celebration right here? This
Yeah.
celebration.
Talk about turning lemons into lemonade.
Come on, tell
Yes.
them what they're looking at on the screen, ladies.
This was 2020.
Yes.
Hmm.
We had planned a big celebration for March 25th, 2020. And if everybody remembers what happened on March 13th when everything shut down. So there
Mhm.
were no events, there was nothing. So we pushed it from March to August, thinking that, okay, by August, everything will be up and running. It wasn't.
Mm.
And so
Hmm.
we were fortunate during that time to pivot to virtual events. I guess I'll go
Hmm.
ahead and kind of jump ahead to that. Um, our books were full for 2020.
This
And
was the
we
year.
were excited. We were
Mhm.
so excited. And on that day, it was a Friday the 13th.
Mm.
Lauren and I sat in here and watched the news and just watched them say everything was shut down. Everything. And at first it's like, what? Let's run to the store and get toilet paper and paper towel, you know.
Like everybody else, right?
Yeah. So we did that.
Right.
We're like, hey, it'll last, it might last a week or so. And it kept going. And after a couple of weeks, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm done. And I'm like, we have worked our behinds off for the last 10 years to get us to this point. We're finally turning the corner, and now we can't do any events. Well, God put it on the heart of one of our friends to call and like, hey, you need to start Socially Splendid. So we actually approached one of our production partners and said, hey, we've got some events coming up and we still need to do them, but we need to do them virtually. We had no idea really what we were asking for. And they were like, give us a
Right.
couple, we're going to build your studio. And they literally built us a studio in their warehouse. And we were one of the first event companies
Let me
to
show
move
that
forward
again.
with that.
Listen, you
Hmm.
guys, and the reason why I wanted to share this picture is because this was first off, Splendid Events did my wedding. I am a pandemic bride, okay?
Yes.
But when I walked into this virtual studio and I sat there in the chair because they brought me in to host their event,
Mhm.
it was like I had it was like, oh my gosh, I said, I love this.
Yeah.
I said, I could really do this. I love this. And it was
Yeah.
maybe in that time that I manifested what I always wanted to do. And now here we are
Yes.
virtually. You
Yes.
guys were 5 years ahead of the curve, but your story is truly awe inspiring. And Miss Pam, just speaking with you, and I had, as you were saying, I had several people reach out to me after I lost my job saying, I know what it feels like. I've been there. This is what happened to me. And so it is my desire to bring inspiration because
Mhm.
unfortunately, a lot of Americans are going to be facing that pink slip, not now, then in the future, because of the current trend
Hmm.
that's happening right now. But why don't we backpedal a little bit and talk about what birthed Splendid Events? Take us back to what happened.
Well, I have been in corporate America for 30 years.
Mhm.
Um, I worked I grew up at Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kentucky. I was 16 years there in health insurance, and I was recruited to go to Indianapolis. I managed a product development department, so we created events.
Mhm.
We created new products for the
Uh-huh.
insurance company. So I was there, and I went there in 1995. In 2000, I found myself laid off the first time.
Mhm.
So it was like, okay, the first time my whole career. So I decided that I was tired of health insurance. I've been in it for 21, 22 years. So I went in and did mortgage banking. And so I did that for 5 or 6 years, and then that company closed.
Oh my gosh.
And so in 2007, I say I lost my mom, my job, and my sister.
Oh,
And I was off for 18 months or so. It was fine. I needed a break at that point. And so then I went back into healthcare, and I managed a provider relations department where we negotiated contracts with the hospitals and the doctors.
mhm.
And so loved the job. That lasted about 18 months, and I found myself laid off again. And so at that point, Lauren was in college, and we were living in Indianapolis, and my pastor there had died. And I was just like, why am I still here? Like, let me go back home. So I started networking to get back home. And a friend of ours was in HR, and she was like, I can help you get a job. You have a degree, you have plenty of experience, but I know your passion has always been event planning, because I always did events on the side. Nothing like we do now. I thought we were doing something, but we weren't. And so I always did that on the side for the companies I work for friends. I did weddings on the side. I did my first wedding when I was like 21. And so I say Splendid Events was birthed out of necessity. I moved here, and she was like, I can help you get another job, but I know your passion has always been event planning. So she introduced me to one of the planners that used to work with Derby Festival. Penny has since passed, but we had lunch, and she was like, oh my God, you would be wonderful. You just need to set up an LLC. You need an attorney. You need an accountant, a laptop. She said, and I'll introduce you to those people in the event community that you need to know. And she did. She started setting up all these meetings, and and I'm just like,
but let me ask you this question, because I know that when you feel like you're losing your stability, I guess the scariest thing is to be like, oh my goodness, okay, I want to go into business, but it was scary. But what was it in you that's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I can do this.
I was like, I have been at this point, it's 2007, 2009.
Mhm.
I have been laid off 3 times, and I have been laid off twice in 2 years.
Yeah.
And for somebody that in my corporate world, and in 20 some years, I had worked continuously. And it was something, I say it was God, because
Yeah.
it was like God saying, I would apply for it. When I got laid off the first time, I applied for an event planning job. They wouldn't hire me. And then the second time, and I went through all of that, and I had savings and 401k and all this that I had built up, and over the course of being off that many times, then when I moved back here, and this is why I say that it's so good sometimes to step back and look where God has brought you from.
Come on.
When I moved back here, I had several houses in Indianapolis. I had some investment properties, and I had my house that I rented out. I moved back here. I'm on unemployment. I'm staying with my sister. Lauren's in college. My oldest daughter and my grandsons were here, and I started this business literally with nothing from the kitchen table. And it was just some type of fire that God had put in me to say, you can do this. You can do this. I had no idea what I was doing. But it's just the things just started to fall in place. I worked around the clock trying to learn the business. And, the first event we got a big wedding that Penny gave me. And one of the city officials, his daughter was getting married. So she was like, it's a high profile wedding.
How soon was that after you launched your business, when you got your first wedding under your new business?
Under my new business, like in the first 3 months.
Wow.
So, and I asked her, I'm like, are you going to help me? And she was like, no, if they see me, they're going to assume I did it. So I need you to do it. And we did it. It was amazing. But the other thing that we did while doing that, and we did a press release, we did all this stuff. Like I was, I guess, crazy enough to believe that this business was going to blow up. So I'm like, I can tell people all day long, I know how to put an event together. I need to show them. And
Come on.
so out at Sawyer Hayes, they had just built that. I got real close with the person that was running it. That's where the wedding was that we did.
It's the venue you're talking about, Sawyer Hayes.
Venue, yes. And she was like, I'll let you use this. She's like, I'll let you have the place for free if you do the event on a weeknight. And I'm like, okay. So we did, like I said, a press release, networking. We put together like this most amazing, I couldn't even believe it was our event. Like you drove up, it's valet parking. What I did, I started just calling people like, hey, would you like to participate in this event showcase? And they were like, well, how much is it? And I'm like, nothing. You just need to bring what you do. So we had, caterers. Lady Fingers Catering is one of the biggest caterers in town. Lady Fingers, Chick-fil-A. We had
Costco, hotels, giving away overnight stays, wine tastings. There were Louisville Chocolate Fountain was a part of it. We had our AV
this
partners.
Was your first networking event under Splendid Events.
This was our grand opening.
Grand opening.
Yeah, when you pulled up, it's valet parking. We had gotten a company that did that for free, valet parking. We had a big water wall. The event company that was here then, they let us come down and pick out all the decor that we wanted. So a big lighted water wall with our logo on it. We had it was just great wine tasting. And,
oh my gosh. Wow.
Live music. Cheryl Rouse was our entertainer that year. I mean, it was crazy. We had.
So you came out swinging, and I tell you something that gives me goosebumps is you said you were venturing into the unknown, but there was something inside of you that was fueling you and pushing you and letting you know that it could be possible. And your beautiful daughter, Miss Lauren, what did you think when mom called and said, you know what? I'm just going to go full force into this event business. And what were your thoughts?
Well, I wasn't surprised. I would say for me, this was birthed, like she said, she did this on the side for a long time, just growing up. I had the passion way back in middle school. And I say I did my first event in middle school. And I won't go into further details because I've told that story a million times, but it's been birthed for a long time. So I wasn't surprised when she called up and said, hey, I'm just going to do this and I'm going to launch this business and stuff like that. I was like, cool. I'm thinking about succession planning in the future and stuff like that. Okay, a few years down the road, once you're established, I'll come join the business and we'll roll this thing together. And I say she did it in 2010. That was my sophomore year of college, and I graduated in 2012. So I came immediately into the business. I thought I was going to, spend the first few years of doing something else. But that didn't quite happen. God said, nope, this is the direction and the door that you're going to go in. And it's been a great joy of building this business with her, being with her daily, just kicking it off. So,
wow. I just want to say, Crystal, that starting out, when I decided that this is what I wanted to do, it originally started with me, my brother, and my sister. So my sister was my silent partner, my sister Paula. And she continues to come in and work events and still support us. But she was my silent partner. She lives in Houston. And then my brother was retired from the military. He thought he was going to be my partner. That kind of didn't work out right away because he was retired military. And with events, you got to be flexible, and he wasn't. So we agreed to disagree that this might not be his career path. But it just has been incredible.
Wow. And so you all have definitely become a household name in the city. How long would you say that it really took things to take off for you?
Say 5 years. The first 5 years, wouldn't you say?
5 years?
Yeah.
And we kind of talked about that.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yep.
It wasn't easy. I mean, I was on unemployment. I'm not ashamed to say that, and what little savings I had went pretty quickly. And so it took a while for us to, I thank God for my family because they worked for free for a lot of years. Wow. And they showed up for every event. We put on our T-shirts. We was always uniform. We came out like we had a whole lot that we were working with. But we were fortunate. I got great mentors and around me, and the people that were around me really helped us build it up. And so, but we worked tirelessly around the clock for the first 5 years for sure.
Wow. And I love what you
Yeah, I
said
would
about,
say, and I'm
go ahead, Lauren.
yeah, I was gonna say, I would say, like, I think every 5 years for us has hit another milestone. So we're at year 15. I think the first 5 years was like that introductory, I'm getting myself established. Then year 10 was like, okay, we really got this thing going. And then now it's like, all right, we can start mentoring other people because we've gotten some experience under our belts. We can talk about the roller coasters throughout the years that have happened. So I think that every 5 year mark for us is when we are reevaluating ourselves as business owners and seeing what next level we can go to in the event industry.
Absolutely. And I love what you said. You talked about hard work, because a lot of times people feel as if, okay, just an idea, but the vision needs to be coupled with the hard work. But one thing you said every 5 years. So you started, and then you said after the fifth year is when you really started seeing success. And then your 10-year mark, which was supposed to be your big celebration,
Right.
the world shuts down. And so I said Splendid Events was the event coordinators for our wedding. I was a pandemic bride. Let me show some pictures of me there, me and my husband there in the elevator at the Brown Hotel following our wedding because we couldn't go on our honeymoon. But it turned out beautiful. But I will never forget the phone call. And Miss Pam and Lauren you guys were so calm. Here we are. We heard about in March. Our wedding was in May at the time. So we were 2 months away from our wedding.
Yep.
And all of a sudden the world shut down. And then we had to rethink venues. But you guys were just calm, like grace under fire. I'll never forget how reassuring you all were.
We get that a lot. That's one of the things that we really try, even when we have major events, and sometimes we're breaking inside, or things are falling apart. But we try to stay here, because
Yeah.
if we get frantic, our team gets frantic, our clients get frantic. And so we were certainly led during that time, because if you remember, we had to push your wedding off a couple of times.
We had 3 dates, but one thing I remember though during that time, because I'm familiar with your work. I know the beautiful work that you all do. So I just was like, listen, I'm gonna let them handle it. But we had conversations, and I'm encouraging you all because we were really the world was dealing with uncertainty, but especially events. You were in the business of people coming together, and that couldn't happen. Talk about that time and how you had to pivot.
Yeah. Lauren, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. So we, as Pam stated earlier, we had our studio, and we were able to bring all of our clients, especially our nonprofit clients. So nonprofit and corporate are our biggest bulk of business, but we really get into the fundraising part of, fundraisers, galas, walks, annual meetings, and stuff like that, really bringing those visions and missions to life. And so we had to find a way to do that for our clients. And that spanned a big growth of our business. And so we were able to take them into that studio. I learned how to script. I learned how to run stuff behind the scenes. I became an expert at a Zoom tech. Pam run the front of the house, what we called that, and she was our floor director, our stage manager. She made sure that people got up on there. We had all the tech. I was back there with the guys. I learned a lot, and since then I've been able to freelance sometimes with our AV partners. Learning new skills. We got a certification, a digital event strategist certification that during that time, so that we could brush up on our skills to learn the different platforms, conference platforms. We did weddings we had a wedding on Zoom in the studio.
Hold on, a
I was
wedding
full.
on Zoom?
Yeah. And they could
did.
see the guests. We had the downstage monitor, and the guests, you could see all of them. So the bride and groom were on the stage, and all the guests were on the downstage monitor, so they could see them and interact with them. It was the neatest thing.
Felt like they were a part of it, and it was the neatest thing. It was. And then we did a vacation Bible school for our church. So we brought in out of town speakers. We were able to do so much. I mean, even down to just, you talked about our 10-year anniversary and that being like a talk show atmosphere. We didn't know what we were going to do. We had a DJ. The one thing that we did though was that we made sure that even in the studio, that it still felt like an event. And so
Yeah.
we would have up to 10 people that would come in and they would be spectators sometimes just sitting in the studio, but we would have bartenders, we would have caterers come in and do buffets and stuff like that. So, you know, everybody got the experience and we wanted it to be fun and just like it was live and in person for the people that were sitting at home. And so we got clients out of that we wouldn't have normally had and kept them since then. And that elevated our business when things opened up and when we went back live.
Wow, that's wonderful. I mean, it's just kind of like what the word says, what the devil intended for evil, God is going to make it
Turned into
work
good. And
out
he did.
for your good. And he absolutely did that for you all. And so you feel like you really grew during that time, a time when it was kind of like, oh my goodness, how are we going to survive? And you almost felt as if you grew during this time.
We did.
Wow. I want to shout out some people. First off, a sister, she said, lovely group of ladies. Mr. Fred Lee Reynolds, loved him. And he said, amazing company with amazing
Hey, Fred.
women, right? Don't we love Fred?
We love Fred.
Yes, we love Fred.
He's got a good job loss story as well. And Miss Erica Let Glenn said, love these ladies.
Hey, Erica.
Oh, we
Shout
love
out to
Erica.
Miss Wendy. She said, awesome ladies. You guys got fans. You got fans.
We are so blessed.
Yes. And so we're talking about the high moments, but for some people that may be going through a season right now, a dark season, what kept you going when things seemed uncertain though? Because I know, we're smiling, you're talking about the high moments, but I know that there were some low parts. What kept you going during these moments?
Well, the thing during COVID, there were a few things. One was our faith. Our amazing pastor, Corey Shull, he is, when we said we were pivoting to virtual, he called and said, I'm your first client. And we did our church's Vacation Bible School virtually. And that was a amazing challenge.
Yeah.
Trying to get 100 kids online at the same time, but it just, and putting them into classrooms and, so that was one. The other thing, the city offered some grants during COVID that because, and this is the one thing I want to say to every small business, make sure your paperwork is in order, because when that came out, we got approved like right away, but because we could pull records and show this is what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Other thing that we did, One West, Chef Ed Lee gave away free meals. Every day he gave away 100 family meals, hot meals a day. And so they needed somebody to run one of the sites. So our team went down every day, set that up, and worked with the ladies of Alpha Kappa Alpha. They were our volunteers to make sure that those meals were handed out each day. We did that for 10 weeks.
Wow.
That summer. And so, a lot of times you got to think outside of what you normally do.
Yeah.
And, we blessed others and God blessed us.
I absolutely love that. And you're no stranger to rough times, but you had a different battle you faced last year. You had a cancer diagnosis. Won't you share a little bit about that with us?
Yep. Last July. When April, I had gallbladder surgery, which, I spent a few days in the hospital. I'm like, okay, so, I just had gotten past that. And in July, found out that I had breast cancer. And again, the timing couldn't have been better. I mean, it was like I had surgery in August, and then I did 16 rounds of radiation, but we never missed a beat. our team, my sisters, our Splendid Events team, I can't say enough. I would go take radiation and go work an event. I mean, you know, but it just, God gave, and then come home and die. But God gave us the strength and just to keep going. And so most people, you know, if you had an event on our books last year, you didn't even know unless I told you that this is what we were going through. And so again, it's just our faith. I praise them every day.
Yeah.
When I look at what we were able to do, even during that period,
Mm.
We didn't miss a beat. Like we covered each other and we utilized the resources that we needed to come in and help us. And we'd be like, okay, you go sit down. Because literally when she got that diagnosis in July, then in August we had a major conference out of town. And so we were trying to schedule her surgery early enough so that she could recover before it was time to go to conference, and it didn't happen. It happened, she ended up having surgery 2 weeks before we had to leave for conference. And we were like, if you have to stay back, you can stay back. But knowing Pam, she's not going to do that. We were like, all right, if you're going to go sit in the hotel room. And so she made it through. She persevered. We were like, don't lift a thing, don't touch a thing. We got it. If you need to point, point. But we've got you. And our team was amazing. And like she said, we did not miss a beat. I think she revealed it to everybody in October of that year when she was in radiation. But our books, when you talk about our books being full, we were full. We had consistent events every month, sometimes 2-3 times a month or whatever. And it was like we never, like that diagnosis hadn't even happened. So
Wow. Lauren, seeing your mom through the highs and the lows and her just determination to keep pushing forward, how has being business partners evolved the mother-daughter relationship?
well, we have always been close, but we like talk 10 times a day. That's literally how we work.
Well, you gotta
We work
understand,
like
doing that, all that. She was pregnant. She had a baby.
Right. So many yes, another girl in the fold. Yes.
yeah. So yeah,
It was a
last
lot.
year was a lot. It was a lot because I birthed my child in January of last year, so I was adjusting being a new mom.
Yeah.
And that we definitely had to figure out a lot. You know, like initially we thought we were gonna do the nanny situation, but we ended up putting her in school
Mhm.
and trying to do the work-life balance thing. That's been our new adjustment. And so yeah, we went through a lot, but yeah, but actually working with my mom, like we figure it out together. We lean in on each other in so many different ways. But yeah, it's been a beautiful thing. And it doesn't impact personal or professional. I think it all kind of intertwines together.
Mhm.
And so it's been great.
So what would you say? Because I loved what you said, though, when your mom was going through a situation, you said we had to cover one another. What would you say
Mhm.
to, the entrepreneurs out there that is not blessed with that family or friend support? What kind of message or advice would you give?
I'm I'm gonna give a word of advice that Maggie Harlow gave us about a month ago at our networking group. And she was like, surround yourself with a squad of people. Get your sister squad together and surround yourself with like-minded individuals so
Mm,
that if you have a hard time or something, you've got people around you lifting you up.
But
And
yeah.
so go to a networking group like a network of entrepreneurial women or there's all kinds of groups out here that are for people that they do become like families, but get you a small circle of people that are with you and that are going to lift you up. That would be my advice.
and I'm gonna tell you, one of my biggest squads was Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority,
Oh.
Pi Lambda Omega chapter. Those ladies covered me like just unbelievably. They
Mm,
cooked, they came, they prayed, they brought cards, it got to the point they set up a meal train that I was so blessed that I finally had to say, you guys, that's enough. I appreciate it, but give it to somebody else now. Like you guys have given us more than we will ever need. But that our church, our family, she's right. It's the squads. It's
Squad.
and everybody needs them. And it doesn't have to be just because they're family doesn't mean because their blood doesn't mean they're family.
Come on.
Exactly.
Honestly, some of our squad came through more than some of our family. I have family that I know is my ride or dies.
Yeah.
But some of the squad, but God.
And I'm glad that you're talking about that because, again, there are a lot of people that are in situations where they don't have the familial support. But I love that. Get yourself a squad. And I think now more than ever, we're realizing the importance of villages and connectivity and having those like-minded people around you. Let me ask you this question. When did you realize that you were not just surviving with your event company, but that you were thriving? And what did that feel like? Look at that smile on Lauren's face.
When we forget to bill people for money that they owe us, no. Like, oops, I forgot. They owe, So that is such an incredible feeling.
Yeah.
Somebody told me when I first started, he said, just keep working. Don't look at the money. Don't be trying like, I got to make this amount. Just keep working. He said, keep putting in. This was an entrepreneur that told me that. Keep putting in. And one day you'll look up and say, you know what? I'm making money. Are we rich? No, but we can breathe. And I am that's the other thing that got us through COVID, because at the point, at that 10-year mark, we had enough saved where we could go a few months. Wow. And so that in itself, being a small woman-owned minority Black business, speaks volumes. But we also, Crystal, don't live above our means.
Yeah, that's good.
That's the other thing. We still live pretty
frugal.
Well, we do what we want.
And I mean,
we feel like we're missing out. But we don't have a space. We work from home. We're a home-based business, and that's the other thing that helped us during COVID because we didn't have the overhead.
Right.
And so, it's those kind of things. Neither one of us drive new cars. We could, but we don't. And so it's those things. You figure out what matters most.
Absolutely. Lauren, you want to say something?
It was it's been a humbling experience because you look at the beginning into where we are now. We never forget where we come from. And so we talk about the roller coaster, but it is so worth it. So my advice to people too is like, take the risk. Don't be afraid. Take the risk. You're going to have moments, but there are plenty of people in this entrepreneurial community that have been in your shoes or, that can talk you through it. So.
Wow. And so ladies, I want you to do this. I want you to take a deep breath in and let it out, because I think that, and as we were talking, you haven't really had an opportunity to sit back and just look. And I'm going to say it, what the Lord has done. 15 years. And Lauren, as you said, most businesses don't survive. 5 years is the mark, and you all 15 years. And so if you had to go back and speak to yourself 15 years ago, what words of wisdom would you give Miss Pam back then? And what words of advice and wisdom and kind of letting her know what's to come, and then actually encouraging someone out there that is where you are 15 years ago right now?
I think the advice would be the same. My biggest regret is that I didn't do this sooner. But it wasn't time.
Yeah.
But I think the advice would still be the same, like stay the course. Because when you hit the lows, know that a high is coming. And you can't give up when you're almost there. It's like that blessing is right there. And so, and every time that I would think that, okay, I'm going to go back and work in corporate, and God would give me something else. He would give me another event and a bigger event and a bigger event. And, so I think, again, God first, just stay the course and listen to your gut, because not all
Come
money
on.
is good
Yes.
money.
Yes. Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
Lauren,
know
what
when to walk away.
right. Lauren, what words of advice would you give?
Words of advice, I would say, like I said before, don't give up, stay the course, take the risk. The- just have those sister squads, get you some business minded people around you. Make sure that you have your business in order. She said that as a key word. Make sure you have your attorney. Make sure you're legally sound. Make sure you have your accountant that is keeping your books straight, because all that stuff matters.
Yeah.
Keep your business and deliver. If you say you're going to do something, do it, and do it with excellence. That's the biggest thing that sometimes works against us as Black people too, especially, or whatever. Like, make sure that you are delivering the service that you promised your people,
Mm.
and do everything on time, decently, and in order.
Oh, I like that, decently and in order. So name drop some of your big clients. I'm going to go ahead and show, I know y'all did the Urban League Gala.
It's
Y'all
coming
do
up April 30th.
I know the
Yes.
brain ball. Y'all do that. And
Yeah.
who's the special guest this year? Was it Janelle Monáe is going to
Janelle
be?
Monáe, yes.
Ooh,
This is
that's
actually our 10th year with the Louisville Urban League, or having them as a client. So, and that's the other thing, is that what Lauren is talking about, doing things with excellence. That's how you keep those repeat clients.
Mhm.
Catholic Charities was a new client for us this year. We have Louisville Downtown Partnership. We have that State of Downtown coming up. We're doing AMPS annual award event this year.
Celebration.
So, yes.
Wow.
So we're just excited. The Great Bourbon Spelling Bee with educational justice. We just did that. We've got an adaptive recreation showcase for people in wheelchairs that will do like sports showcase with what we call Gathering Strength. That's a new client. We have a conference coming up with Mothers Esquire. It's attorneys throughout the U.S. that are mothers that will come into Louisville, Kentucky, and they're having a conference here. We are working with them on their conference. We do Burnett Avenue's, all their major events. We're just so excited about, like I said, the doors that have been opened and the clients that we get to work with.
Wow. And I love it because you ladies are now paying it forward. You're sharing your story here on the podcast, but you guys are doing your own little TED Talks now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Kind of sharing that business advice. Talk about that real quick.
Mhm. So we've been fortunate to be speakers. This is our fourth talk in the last month. We started out with the University of Cincinnati with their PR club, some students there. And then we did Network of Entrepreneurial Women. We were their featured speakers for their monthly events. And then we just this past Wednesday, we were at the University of Louisville. This is our third year in a row talking to those students there about event planning, and have gained some interns that are interested in shadowing us. And then tonight, with our lovely, lovely client and friend, Miss Crystal.
Oh, I tell you, let me tell you, you guys are just the epitome of Black excellence. Everything you touch is splendid. And I just felt so honored that you all helped me navigate during which should have been one of the craziest days. People were like, how you so calm and cool? I said, I got splendid events, okay? I was like, I'm gonna let them do the worrying.
Gorgeous. You just
Yes.
embrace it.
Oh,
You listen to us. And
yes.
that's the thing. I think
Mhm.
that's the key. If you're going to hire us, then follow our expertise, because we've learned a whole lot. over these years.
Listen, and we have learned a whole lot listening to you ladies. I just want to thank you so much for coming on and pouring out your inspiration. A lot of people are going to find themselves, as we say, the direction that we're heading in this country. A lot of people are going to find themselves where you were, Miss Pam, 15 years ago. But you guys have dropped some jewels. Go with your gut. Bet on yourself and get yourself a squad. Real quick, throw your social media handles so people can reach out to you and follow you and see all the fabulous things that you got going on.
All right. Facebook is Splendid Events LLC, or we're under both of our names, Pamela Fulton Broadus and Lauren Broadus. Instagram is Splendid Events 1. LinkedIn is under me, under Pamela Fulton Broadus. So
and Lauren Broadus.
Follow us, and Lauren Broadus. Follow us, hire us.
Yes.
We have an event coming up.
Now, are y'all still doing weddings though? Because I thought you okay, no weddings.
No.
Now let's make that plain. They're not doing any more weddings, but what kind of events?
Corporate
and nonprofit. Yeah.
And
corporate
private.
and nonprofit are our biggest event too.
Coming up this
Birthday
year.
Parties.
And so we still will do private events. We just God clearly spoke to us and told us we were done with weddings. But there are some amazing wedding planners out here that will take good care of you.
Well, ladies, I want to thank you so much for, again, joining us today and sharing your wisdom and reminding us that when one door closes, God always has a window that's open, that's bigger and better. All right. Beautiful bay windows, right? We thank him for the windows. And thank you so much for joining in this discussion. And if you find yourself in a difficult season, honey, it's Sunday. All right. God is not a man that shall lie. He's given you a vision. Hard work coupled with faith, you can do anything. Thank you so much for tuning in, and let's go ahead and do this again next week. Keep it candid. Bye.
Thank you, Crystal.
Bye.